Well, hello everyone. It's been a while. As I've kind of done more recently, I've done these videos when there's been like a new course drop, and while I'm recording this is officially the open week. So we got our third of 5 courses that EA has planned to announce. Obviously, the previous two was Oak Hill, the PGA Championship, LA Country Club, for the U.S. Open. Now we're at Royal Liverpool. The next two is Olympia Fields for the BMW Championship and the playoffs, and it's this year's Ryder Cup, which they'll do. They're at least doing the course. That I know it's at Marco Simone Golf and Country Club. I'm not sure they're gonna put the whole tournament in. I hope they do, or just like like the team matchup concept. But anyway, this week's the Open. They finally drop Royal Liverpool, um, and basically, kind of like before, we're gonna play the course, kind of go over it. But I also want to go over a little bit like links golf, the history, a little bit of the history here, at Royal Liverpool, and just kind of and at the same time, we're going to see how the course is going to play. And I'm curious if it's fully set up like it will be this week. A good example is on hole 18. They have an artificial out of bounds line that's very close to the fairway. I'm curious if that's actually going to be in there or not. But still, it's going to be kind of fun to kind of check out this course. And also, I kind of want to use it for people that might stumble upon it, like what is links golf? How's it a little different from like what we've seen, in previous videos, or just overall, what makes it stand out different, along with the history of the Open and so forth. So I think that's what we're going to focus on. But yeah, anyway, so real quick, it says 23 Open Championship. Actually, hold on, one last thing. This is funny. In the background, you see this Open Championship flag, but then you see the logo that says the Open. It's officially called the Open, just the Open now. They stopped calling it the Open Championship a few years ago with that logo and changed it to this. I previously liked the older one better. I don't know, just the Open seems a little. I mean, personally, it's a little pretentious to call yourself the Open. It's like, and plus, I don't know. I think Open Championship sounds better, and I like the older logo with the flags. Personally, I think I like more like the font to be the same size for the most part, minus the championship. It's just the Open Championship, and it just seems a little better in my opinion. But that's just like my personal taste. Anyway, but no, I actually been waiting for this tournament, or sorry, I've been waiting for this course drop for a while because they've only actually real quick they only had one other British or links over in like the UK or Ireland, and that was St Andrews. Um, and they have the only other really links course that's truly a links course. I say this is sort of close, but it's not entirely. It's a little different. Um, this is close as well, but again a little different just in the setup. Will be Bandon Dunes. Like Bandon Dunes is probably the other really like closest true like British traditional link style course, and the link style golf has really got it's an interesting definition, which we'll kind of go into in a couple minutes here. But this is really the only second like British course they've added in, which I was a little disappointed because the other we'll get this loaded up here because the other tournaments like the U.S. Open and the PGA Championship, they at least had multiple courses that had their tournaments in this game. Like with the PGA Championship, they had Southern Hills from last year. They had Kiwa Island, which was hosted before. They had Whistling Straits was hosted before. The U.S. Open at Pebble Beach, which that's also a PGA Tour tour, but that's the U.S. Open course. They obviously had last year at Brookline, so they just had 2 there, and now they got 3. Well, the British Open, or the Open, I'm sorry, only had St. Andrews. I turned the music down. It's still too loud for my taste, but I think it'd be done now. Let's have a new song. So first, look, I like how they got the. Unfortunately, you can't really like when you replay. You can't really like. We'll do a quick hole flyover more. I turned the music down to a 10. I'll show you this in a second. It wasn't really meant to show you that. 1 second. I like the music, but it's extremely loud at times when you want to talk. Even like, I turn off the commentary. Yeah, look at that. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, it's gameplay music. My bad. I'll turn that to 10. I don't mind it a little bit in the background. It's just obnoxiously loud. So, anyway, but yeah. So, One thing, real quick, you can see, I think there's going to be a common trend at Liverpool. So, like St. Andrews, they got very wide open fairways. Liverpool's a little different. It's very narrow, and you have a lot of this rough here. But see, since these are really old courses, and over here you actually got a tee box for another hole. It just kind of hugs each other, which is kind of neat over there because you see that in some places in the U.S. of older courses, but in general, like a lot of newer ones, they're really spaced out, so you don't really have that overlap. So it's just kind of like a quirks you see in these older courses. Oh crap! Oh, I just got lucky there. But anyway, kind of mention what links golf is. It's kind of a loose definition nowadays, but a very traditional links golf. It's kind of built near a coastline and basically on sandy shores. And the reason it's built like that is that the ground's not really meant to grow much, except for like the grass, and you see like rough, fescue. Um, is it gore? Not gore. Gorsh, I think it's called. Um, but basically, as you see here, there's not much to it in terms of vegetation. It's very basic. But with that, it kind of firms up really well. So you see a lot of balls. Actually, speaking of that, I should actually do this high. So that way we can have less spin. But you see like a lot of balls will roll more. Like we just saw how it kind of roll out of the rough into the fairway. Let's see how this rolls here a bit. Yeah, so good news we did it right. We had the high and stuff. But like, you know, when you play like St. Andrews this game, the ball rolls a lot. Like you can like the last hole is like I think under 400 or 380, and you can crush and just watch it roll another 50 yards. And that's the traditional of links golf. Just the way it's kind of built, especially in the UK with the Open, how they handle it. You know, it's supposed to be balls roll like crazy. It's very, since it's right off usually a body of water, but in general it's usually off a sea or an ocean in this case. So you have a lot of elements come into play, like in a very infrequent. Like, you know, all of a sudden it could be like winds like, you know, 20 miles an hour. Other times it's calm. You have rain that coming off the shore, then leaves again. Like it's really about being out on the wide open and battling the elements. And obviously with a tournament, they do stuff like, you know, sometimes they'll let, you know, the course bake out. Like when it's kind of like not. Like I think it's gonna be rainy this week, but when it's like other times, like a few years ago in 21, when you know the first went to COVID, it's at Royal St. George's. It was pretty dry, and it was baked, and they call it that. They say it's baked when it looks browner, and the balls it rolls like crazy and stuff. So it's really about getting the point of the way it's set up. You know, besides these courses, is also kind of like make it more creative, where it's like, okay, you got to be mindful what's going to happen with the ball. Like when Tiger Woods won this in 2006, I believe that was a year was pretty like, you know, dry and firm. You see like right here, see how like how it rolls. Look how much it rolls. And you had that abandoned dunes in this game too, which I have done a couple videos with, you know, like career mode and so forth. But I think when Tiger Woods, and I could be wrong, it's just kind of reading all this stuff online, so I apologize if I'm a little off, but apparently he didn't release his drive at all that week. He just relied on his woods because he knows these balls are going to carry well, you know, especially when the winds are behind your back, you know. So he really like, oh, I don't need the distance. I just need more control and keep everything in play, and that's what he kind of did. You know, and he was smart because it's like, well, I don't need to overpower the course. It's got to be strategic. Hit my shots well, and even time it where it's like, okay, if I landed here, the Steiner shot or something, however I hit it, it's going to roll like another 20, 30 yards. So it's like he planned that perfectly. And that's actually why I like watching links golf, and you know, why I get so excited the Open, the Scottish Open every year. It's just very different. Like, you know, for most of the year, they're going to be playing on parkland courses. You know, it's like courses that, you know, basically going to like a park. You know, it's like got trees and so forth. And no, they're all beautiful. You know, like, you know, you're never going to tell me like Augusta and a lot of these places aren't beautiful. But it's something very different. You know, you only see a few times a year. Wide open, crazy wind. I mean, half the time it's like 50s. It's like around 60 degrees or cooler. It's all wearing like lawn sleeves and stuff, which you just don't see in July at all, or even most of the year. Because even in the winter they play in Hawaii, so it's not like they, you know, or Florida. It's not like they come up to, you know, the Midwest and like, you know, late March. It's like, oh man, I want to battle the elements. It's, you know, in Chicago on like April 10th. so it's kind of a rare opportunity to get to see that. And plus, I like, in a weird way, I know it sounds kind of weird, I like the aesthetics of the Open with like their stands, the dark blue. They got the big yellow sign there. That it's a very cool. I've always liked their setup in terms of the this like their graphics and the color scheme they use at this tournament. But yeah, kind of kind of fun of a little more links. I watched it. Let's see, is it gonna roll in the rough? It does. Look at that. See, and that's what's gonna get interesting watching this week. So like for me, especially my first time playing, this course, this game, it's like, okay, I want to cut this corner, and I didn't do any spin. I was just let it roll match. You can probably do backspin, like since we have this on regular pro mode. But anyway, and to kind of slow it from going the rough. But yeah, see, look, this is heavy rough. So I'm gonna stick with the regular club here. Let's see what happens. Okay, I think it'd be fine. Yeah, this game doesn't punish you as much in the rough as it probably should. Not like this course. I mean, this is a game. It really feels like in rough I can just do the same club and swing and be okay. Ooh, very nice. But yeah. Oh yeah, another thing I kind of mentioned, you kind of see, there's a lot of these rolling hills in Links Golf. See, it's kind of like it's not like mountainous, but you see all these little bumps and mounds. Especially in the UK, they do these pop bunkers very deep. They're crazy to hit out of. If you ever watch them, or if you watch it later this week, I mean, sometimes if it's like too close to the wall, I mean, these guys are really good. They know how to get out of that. Like I always struggle to get the loft properly. But sometimes it's so bad, they almost have to hit backwards or to the side. Again, you just don't see that with really any other time of the year. I got some notes here, so I'm just double checking here. Yeah, I talked about the sand dunes, a few water hazards. Yeah, there's really any water in these courses. Like, it'll hug. There's usually be a couple holes a hug. Oh, please stop. There'd be usually a couple holes that will hug a coastline, but it's not like Florida where like they're on a Palmer in this game. There's holes you got to hit over water and land. They don't do that. Also trees. Now, you see trees here, but they're all in the background. There's none in play. Like you don't see trees in play either usually. Oh, that's too much. Yeah, so the term links, yeah, I mean, then again, this is just a little article. It's very loosely, but few courses have all designed as a true links course, including built on links land, which is what I mentioned, kind of like off the coast, sandy dunes, to really create like, very firm and these types of surfaces. Yeah, like some people, like, I'm sorry, some do consider Pebble Beach a links course, and it's close. Like, there's definitely a lot of holes that kind of similar to that, but it is a little different where it's kind of built more off the cliff, so it's not truly sandy. And then they have holes that are actually inland with trees and stuff, so it's not truly like the old, they consider traditional links courses. Now that's the abandoned dunes. I say that's definitely truly a links course. I say Chambers Bay is close to it as well. That does probably really a links course. It is right off. It's in Seattle. It's right off the water, like in the Bay Area. I think it was built in sandy dunes. The only thing that's weird that you don't see in the UK, they have crazy elevation holes there. Like when I was playing in this game, it's like headed down like off a mountain. It felt like you don't have that in the British links. Nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that's probably the really big difference I could tell. And there's also a few others, like I think in Australia, there's a few true link style courses. Like they're out there, and I mentioned Abandoned Dunes is very close to it as well. But still, this is really the second truly like British style, very old school, 150 plus year, type of course. So. Yeah, see that rolled about almost 40 yards. Took a sip of water if you heard that. But yeah. But anyway, so so far, like in Liverpool, it's very different from St. Andrews. I mentioned very narrow, but luckily, at least in the way I'm playing and this, the way it's set up, and I'm able to get out of the rough and stuff. Oh, that's a 4-iron? Uh-oh. That's going to roll off. Yep. Didn't pay attention to that. Oh, yeah, but so a little about the Open, if you guys aren't, whoever's listening is not too familiar, but it's the oldest major in golf. It's been around, oh, man, 1860, is it 1868? Let's check that. Well, it's weird, they had the 150th last year, but mind you, it's a little. There were years they didn't play due to the World War I, World War II. Obviously, COVID they didn't play. So for 1860, I apologize. 1860. I know it was in the 1860s. I didn't think it was 1860 straight. St. Andrews is the oldest course they play at. It's been around since the 16th century. Okay, so this is a 5. I was wondering about that for a second. Yeah, is it gorse they call it? I think it's gorse. Yeah, see, I think that's gorse right over there. Those little bushes you see on the left or behind where the TV tower is. That's type of gorse. And that's interesting. It hasn't really been in play. Like some courses, it'd be like hugging the like the fairways. So this is a par 3, so only overhit it becomes in the play, which actually that's a good point. Let's not do that. I'd rather be shorter than in the gorse. But yeah, see, good roll out there. So, especially if it's 6-iron, because the lower irons like 4 through 6 are gonna have a lot more spin than the higher irons, which are a lot higher. Arc and kind of drops in. Yeah, you see kind of like look to the side here, Liverpool, little bumps and mounds over there. Now, obviously, it's easy because this is a golf game. But you think about like the average player, there's a good chance you have players in there. You're gonna have these awkward stances trying to hit out of it, and you'll see it during the Open later this week. Like the actually so yeah, the Open's around 1860s, the oldest major. They've changed names. I think one time they did call themselves the British Open, but I don't know. They got a little offended by that, I guess, because they're like, oh, we're just the Open. Also, it's weird to call it the British Open because like most of the courses, not this year, ironically, it's in England, but a lot of the courses they played at, they've been in Scotland, so it's not really the British Open, and you have the Scottish Open ahead of it, so it's like. So the Open Championship made the most sense to me. Now they just want to call themselves the Open, which people are making fun of a bit, which they should. But, oh, it's gonna be a 3-wood. Whoa, wait a minute. We were talking about the rollout earlier. I think we're okay with a driver. Well, maybe not. I'm going right. Let's go in the bunker. Oh, I got lucky. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, so it carried to 277 or 331. So it was like about 50, over 50 yards right there. It's actually so about 50-something yards and extra roll. Now we're in a pitching wedge, so I'm not too concerned hitting this high. I am concerned in going short now because I just did that. Oh, we got our bunker shot. Let's see how we get out of this. But yeah, look, these bunkers aren't huge either, so they're really awkward. They're deep, and it's like, if you're right in the middle, you're okay, but if you're like on the sides, you see like some guy's leg will be like crouch outside. Like, it's like, I don't know how to describe it unless you see it. Oh man, I got like no room here. Yeah, this should be good. So, but yeah, so it's the oldest major. I guess when people rank them, it's interesting. I think some people pick the Masters first, some will pick the Open first. I think it kind of depends. I think if you're like in Europe or more overseas, you may pick the Open because it is more, important over there than it is, let's say, to Americans, at least until more of the modern game. Because for a long time, even though it was like a major, you didn't have players go over there, especially you think about back in like, the first half of the, well, obviously the 19th century, but the first half of the 20th century. But when Arnold Palmer kind of went over there, he really started to kind of like, and won it, then he kind of really brought American interest into it. And it wasn't like he was the only American. You had Walter Hagen and Bobby Jones, had won the Open. But it really took like, really, Palmer, and then, you had Gary Player and Nicholas eventually. They really made the Open like very important to the American audience. Like they really kind of brought, again, I'm kind of speaking general, but they really helped grew the sport and people's interest in what makes these four majors, especially like their era really defined the majors as the U.S. Open, the Masters, and the PGA Championship. Before that was the Open, U.S. Open, but then it was the Amateur Championship, which is basically the British Championship, and then the U.S. Amateur, the U.S. Amateur Championship. So, and which is good because I think, as I mentioned earlier, why I like watching Links Golf and why I've been really excited for this update. So, but anyway, so obviously there's a lot of history, and like Ballesteros is really famous, Nick Fotto, Greg Norman's only majors were at the Open because he choked a lot. He's at Augusta and other tournaments like PGA and U.S. Open. Obviously Tiger Woods. I'm trying to think. I think, is Tom Watson the one that won the most? I'm actually trying to. I'm pulling up a list here. Well, those are the courses. I actually need to talk about that in a few minutes. One second. This is gonna. Well, this is nice easy putt. Okay, no. Harry Vardon's got the most with 6. That's a classic golf. This is like 1890s to the 1910s. James Braid, 1901 through 1910. Okay, so 6 is the most, and then it's 5, and Tom Watson to be. While he's the most recent one, his last one was 83. The other guys that won 5 were more like in the 1800s. Peter Thompson won them in the 50s. He won 3 in a row, missed 57, then won 58. Oh, sorry, he didn't win 57, won 58 and 65, and that's impressive. Yeah, I think Tiger's got 3. Ironically, the last of Tiger Woods' Open championships was here at Liverpool in 06. Seve's got 3. Jack Nicklaus has got 3. Bobby Jones has got 3 as an amateur. But yeah, just a lot of history. Like, these are all real famous names, Hall of Famers, some of the best golfers, in the history of the sport. Yeah, they've won. Not just this tournament, even won here. The last time was here was in 2014 with Roy McIlroy won that one. Oh, hold on 1 second. I'm trying to think how we should do this. Here we go. Ooh, wait, push it right a bit. Yeah, it's going too far. But yeah, it's interesting. It's very different from St. Andrews. The greens aren't as big. You got double greens in St. Andrews where greens will share 2 holes basically. But yeah, otherwise you got the little rolling hills I keep mentioning. And with the Open, it's kind of mentioned these courses. So they have a rotation of courses. Because obviously for the Open, what they really want to consider, like I mentioned, the definition of links golf. To them, that's where the Open's got to be. It's got to be off a coastal links course. Very specific. It's got to have a lot of the elements I mentioned. Going sand dunes, very firm type. It has to create firm conditions. Has thick rough, either fescue or gorse or whatever you think. Just, it's got to look something like this. It cannot be like a parkland course or a hybrid course where there's a lot of trees and stuff. They really want it wide open like this. As you see, like the tee boxes right there. I don't think that's the main reason, but it's basically like, and also it's kind of interesting over there. Like a lot of these courses are walk-in only, but they really design it like, while they've lengthened them over the years and stuff. And walking 18 holes, I mean, it's a lot. You're usually going to get a good, probably 15, at least 15,000 steps easily. When I've done it, it's usually 15 to 20,000 depending on the course and setup. But they make them walkable. To them, it's a big thing with them in Scotland over there. Just, the history. It's supposed to be like a walk in a park and types. Their viewpoints, and it's a gentleman's game where you can go out there and get exercise. But it's not like it's only meant for the people who are young and fit. It can be meant for all age groups. Obviously, to play the best golf, you're going to be peak performance in your 20s and 30s. But you've had Phil Mickelson win this in his 40s. I mean, you've had Henrik Stenson won in his 40s. You had Tom Watson almost won it at 59. Like it really shows. That's one. It's kind of not saying like it can't happen in any course, but it's a great thing about that sport that it's really meant for people to enjoy it, all age groups, and not just like the fit and your peak conditions. You think about like football. Eventually, the body. Oh, that's not going to be good. Yeah, there we go. Thankfully in the game you can find your ball. In real life I'll probably never find it. But anyway, it's one reason I like golf. It's meant all age groups can enjoy it for decades. Obviously for the pros, it will take a toll on their body, like we're seeing Tiger Woods in the back and the swings, and when you're doing this every day and so forth. But for like a casual golfer, you can play once or twice a week. Oh, that was not a good shit. So anyway, I'm chasing rabbits back. So they do they call them rotation of courses, and as I mentioned like links golf where they go, but they have about a rotation of courses where I say what they have like 5 to 7, I think, in their current rotation. Like they kind of introduced this. It's been around quite a while, but like St. Andrews is in this, obviously Liverpool. Muirfield is technically in it, but they haven't gone there since like 13. It's been a while since they've been to Muirfield. Yeah, they're going to True Nation. Going back to Pot Rush, which I'm glad to see. That's a nice one. Yeah, because on the list they got venues past and present, but I know one's Royal Troon, which is I apologize, not Troon, Turnberry. They mentioned Turnberry. Well, it's called Trump Turnberry now, and they really have had no desire to go back there because of the potential political elements with Turnberry. I'm trying to see what the current rotation is. I'm really struggling to find it because I know I've seen it before, but it's like kind of buried. Maybe it's here. Yeah, so since 73, this is actually a little bit of a history, but since 73, usually 3 Scottish and 2 English courses, 3 Scottish, 2 English courses hosted in a 5-year period, mostly alternating between the 2 countries, which kind of makes sense. Last year St. Andrews, this year's in Liverpool. Next year it's at, I can pull up right here. Troon. Yeah, so Troon, back to Scotland, then it's going to Pot Rush, which is Northern Ireland, that's a newer one. I think they, I don't know. Let me double check that. I know they went there a few years ago. Was that the first time they ever went there, or is like the first time in like? Yeah, so they were at Pot Rush in 19, and the last time they were at there before that was in 1951. So yeah, they kind of, moving around. So yeah, that was like a course they kind of re-added back into the rotation and where they want to move the tournament at, the first time in like about 6 decades. Oh, this is a tough one. Hold on, let's look at this one more time. Yeah, see, this was a little different than like at St. Andrews. It's wide open. Here, it's like, you got like no forgiveness here, and if you're offline, I mean, you're in a lot of deep rough. Now, thankfully, I'm playing on pro mode. You know, I can handle it, but yeah, and there's a little bit of an elevation drop. Not huge, but it's going to carry even further. But let's see what happens. So I think I'm going to go right. Oh yeah, it's probably, I'm going to try and spin. No, it won't work. Yeah, so even on the rough, it bounced a bit, but yeah, it's in the rough. But yeah, but like coaches like Royal Liverpool, they've had it 12 times. First time in 1897. Royal St. George's in 21, 15 times. Obviously, St. Andrews or Prestwick has had 24 times. Well, actually, Prestwick, they haven't had it since the 1920s. Yeah, so there's courses in here they haven't been to in a long time. They could go back, like they still exist. You know, St. Andrews, like some of these are like Murfield was in 13. Hope they go back to Murfield. There's something happened with them. I've been trying to read up what happened, but I haven't really figured out. But they put the women's open there, so so it's not the RA hasn't abandoned them completely. They have at least done the women's open there last year, but they pretty much abandoned Trump Turnberry at this point. You know, Carnoustie had an 18, Royal Troon 16. I think they haven't. Yeah, they haven't. They haven't been to Royal Lytham and St. Anne since 12, so I don't know if that's in the rotation still. Yeah, so the current. Yeah, they go to Potrush and they're going to Royal Birkdale in 26, which is England as well. When's the last time they were in Birkdale? 17. Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of courses here. Like I know Turnberry's out, but they haven't been to Lytham and St. Anne since 12. No rumors of them going back, and obviously Murfield's still not on the list. Like they haven't like excluded them as I mentioned, but they haven't made any plans to put the Open there back there yet. Again, I don't know what happened. I don't know, I think something happened. Like, well, I take that back. I think one thing that's going on, which is unfortunate, the modern game in golf, is Murfield has some infrastructure supporting the idea of fans they want, the amount of fans. Like, you know, it's usually like St. Andrews had like what 150,000 people. Actually, let's take a look. Like, this is where the business comes in. Huh. I'm way off. They had 290,000 spectators attended the 950th Open. I assume that's every day, including the practice rounds, but you get the idea. In Murfield, it's like can maybe do half of that, if so, maybe even like less than half. So yeah, you kind of have. Let's see if we can do a draw here. Oh yeah, that's gonna work out well. Oh, maybe not. Oh, yeah, you see, there you go. There's Linkscoff, and in a good spot, and it still rolled another, you know, 50 yards into the right rough. I think we're okay. Let's see how this happens. Let's see how this looks. Oh, is that? Looks like a weird angle. Oh no, it's gonna hug the left a bit. Oh, I think I'll stay on. Oh, look at that. Just barely. They've been okay rolled off there, but imagine it was a little further. Just roll off down there. That would just be awful. This is gonna be. I think this is gonna have more break than that. Yep. But so overall, we're liking Liverpool or Royal Liverpool at Hoylake. So it's weird. They call it the Royal Liverpool, but it's actually in Hoylake, which is just outside of Liverpool. That says kind of one of the bigger cities, I would say, that's near an Open Championship. Like the one thing you kind of see with the Open Championship, it's kind of a lot of rural areas. Like, you know, St. Andrews, you know, beautiful town, but it's small. It's not huge. Murfield, you know, that's again on the, you know, kind of out, you know, very rural area. Now, I mean, compared to the United States or other countries like China or India, you know, it's not a huge country landmass. So it won't take you a long time to get there, but it's it's just crazy to think that you have one of the, you know, 4 majors traditionally is in these smaller towns and villages. It's just very cool. You know, you just don't. The only time you really get that, let's say in the U.S., is you know, Pinehurst. The U.S. Open goes to Pinehurst, and we'll quite a bit soon. You know, that's in like a small rural area, but at least you're like an hour, you know, like 2 hours from Charlotte. I think an hour and a half from Raleigh. But like, but like with like, but like St. Andrews, like, you know, like, let's put it this way. Um, I, if you're wondering what I'm doing, I got a computer next to me, so I'm able to kind of, you know, double check stuff when I'm looking up information. Just want to talk about on short notice, like this run, like right now. But let's say to Edinburgh, by car. You know, it's an hour and 21, so that's not bad. But also, there's really no parking there because I've been to St. Andrews, like the town. I haven't been to the, unfortunately, I mean, I've been to the course just to walk by it and walk over the bridge because it's like a, it's kind of cool real quick. At least with St. Andrews, I cannot vouch for the other courses. But it's like part of the town. Like, it's like you're right in the town. It's just right there. Like, right, you're walking around a block and then all of a sudden there's the course. And you see people like their dogs walking through it, especially when there's no one. I think when there's golfers out there, then they won't, you know, out of respect. But like, you know, it's like evening in November, so you know they were done golfing for the day. And you see like, you know, there's like pathways that kind of go from the town through the course out to the beach. You know, the coastal area right there. And you saw people like walking their dogs and stuff kind of through it. And I was able to walk on there. No one yells or anything. I mean, it's just wild. And yeah, I took a picture on the bridge. It's just really cool. Like it's something. I don't know if that's like they have all the courses over there. I want to say I'm going to question that. Oh, I think this will be okay. Actually, let's do a quick flyover real quick. So it's a dogwood to the left. Now look at that. You can't. It's just long enough. I don't think you can go to the left. Like, you can try to overhit it. But, oh, yeah, look at it. You got sand. You got all that. Yeah. So you're landing. So this is probably the safe way to do it here. I'll be honest. I should do that more often. But it's like I have so much to talk about the tournament. And I can only, like, talk so much about the single course in each hole. But anyway. But, yeah. So you have the car. But, again, I'm sure they have special parking somewhere set up, but it's not. I can tell you, being down there, there's not a lot of places to put it. Even like though you got these fields and stuff, those are private land and stuff. It's not like it's a big public open lot. You can just like, oh yeah, just go park on my land or something. So now you have trains and, you know, buses and so forth. But yeah, it's kind of, you know, kind of limited. I'm sure they do a lot of special stuff with the open, you know, getting, you know, the infrastructure in place. But yeah, it's just kind of interesting just seeing the setups, and it's like, it's pretty wild, you know. It's not going to be like Pinehurst where like, oh, well, you know, we got a highway that goes right down there. When we get to St. Andrews, there's a lot of back roads from Edinburgh. It's not like there's an interstate that just goes right there. I mean, some of these other courses, like this one, as I said, it's a little more unique with Liverpool being there, but Liverpool is a good-sized city, and then you have Manchester, just east of there as well. But then I think about like, you know, Royal St. George's, you know, that's a couple of hours, you know, southeast of London, which is not bad, but then it's like, again, once you get down there, you don't have really any space to park and so forth. Let's see if we can sink this. It's gonna be a little left. Wait. Oh, that's close. Now, they did one hole. I think it's hole 17 they did. Yeah. So, yeah, I think the most, controversy, the most talk about I've been seeing is hole 17 they redid a bit. I think they moved it, like, the tee box, like, opposite it, so the wind's going to be more of a different factor. And then the out of bounds on 18. Yeah, as I said, at first glance, you know, kind of looking at this course, it looks so basic, wide open, but that's what makes it going to be fun. Like, it's going to basically rain off and on all week. I think on Thursday, the wind's supposed to be around 25 miles an hour. And when I'm playing it, I did default settings or whatever, so, yeah, I didn't. Oh, I did a punch. Oh, let's do a Steiner. Let's see. Let's do. I forgot I had this unlocked now. Can this carry? No. We'll try it inward. Yeah, have a little fun. Yeah, I should have probably done this with more crazy wind, but that it's going to be a big factor. And again, we're just kind of focusing on more, just kind of seeing the course and talking about it. But I said, you know, when the wind's died, you know, it's very, you know, approachable for anyone. Well, any pro here, even though it's still rolling out like that. See, look at that. It just stayed in. But when you think about these winds, so you got winds coming in like 15, 20 miles, you know, from east or to the left. Yeah, see 2 miles. I want to say west, but I don't know what direction I'm actually facing in the earth. I could be facing north. I could be facing south for all I know. So it could be eastern winds. But anyway. So, but, you know, imagine like a regular round. I'm going to try a Steiner. Do I have that on? Oh, maybe just on the driver. But let's do it low. Let's see if we can break the wind. But I was saying, so yeah, that comes more in the fact. And you're gonna have rain, which is interesting. It's gonna be a softer course this year, so it's interesting how that impacts it. But when it's raining, that impacts distance as well. If it's like, you know, drizzling, it's gonna cost us some distance here and there, and a softer course will as well. So, you know, how do golfers respond? Now that helps them in the short game, because then they'll have less, you know, greens will be softer, so the ball won't be as fast, and you chip it on, it won't roll as much, so it gives them a little more forgiveness there, because they do better when they have softer conditions. But anyway, it'd be very interesting. So, yeah, again, we're playing like a perfect nice condition day. I mean, I'm not dominating this course. Not granted, I'm not one of those golfers that like deck down 99 and keep making double eagles or chip ins and stuff. No, but I really like this course. I'm just glad, as I said, I know I've said it several times, but I'm so glad to finally have another true link style course, because there's only, to me, it's just, I guess we're kind of Chambers Bay, so we did have 3, but I want another British one that's a little different, you know, that's kind of like, you know, this is kind of narrow. If you have Royal St. George, it's got a lot more humps and little bumps and hills in the middle. So, you know, not like mountains, but just be like this big bumpy hill in the middle, you know, like, you know, let's say this in front of that bunker, you're like, well, what do you do? Oh, yeah, and what's also cool, which I think also applies to roller, almost all the courses over there, the private ones, because St. Andrews is the only public one, truly public. The rest are private, like Royal Liverpool is a club. But what they do, and a lot of the courses do, is they have, they allow visitors to book their own tee time, like, you know, a couple days a week. You can go out there as a visitor. You don't need a member. Usually, you don't need to go and like, oh, I must know this person to play here. No, it's like open, like they have public tee times, usually a couple days a week. I'm sure it varies each course, but I know like say Murfield, you know, it's like Tuesday, Thursdays, and usually in the afternoons, or I think one day they do in the morning. It's kind of interesting. I've read like you have to go out in certain groups to do alternative ball. You know, there's some limitations, but at least like these private clubs are actually available to the public if you want to get out there. If you want to do that with, let's say Brookline in this game, you know, or even LA Country Club, you're not getting on unless you know someone on that's a member of that course. And the thing is, they do kind of sell out too. Like they only have so many. Yeah, single, 4-ball. Like they put different things out there. For example, here I got Liverpool. They're sold out this year, which is understandable. It's already July, and the last guests go out there in October. Unavailable in the winter for guests, but I think they still open for the private members. And there's probably the reason they do that, because like the sun was set like at 4 o'clock over there, at 4:30 or 5. Like an example, March, September next year, you know, you want to get this a single, it's 265 pounds, but that's not cheap by any means. But like, if you want to go and experience some of these world famous courses that have all this history and stuff. Yeah, so this is hole 17. We'll play that again real quick. But yeah, that's what I like. That's so cool over there. You just don't have that in the U.S. or even probably rest of you, probably other parts of the world like Europe or even like even like in Japan. Those private courses are just just for their members. Yeah, so they redid this hole. I can already tell you all these bunkers on the front. That reminds me more of a U.S. link style course, like you see over like, um, like at Whistling Straits, Chambers Bay. Nothing wrong with that, but some say they're a little controversial, so I think it looks very different like to the rest of the course, and I have to kind of agree. But we did see some of those bunkers elsewhere on the course. It's shorter, so but their greens aren't big here. Like look at this green, it's not that big, so it's about accuracy. Again, this is playing pro and everyday decent conditions, but you have a lot of wind. It's going to push the ball quite a bit. Yeah, see you got you see the water right there, so yeah, you can definitely have a lot of conditions coming in off this hole. But see, I kind of like that. You have the little bumps and mounds on the green, so it's going to have some weird breaks depending where you land your ball. So this is hole 18. Do they have the OIB in this or not? The official out of bounds. They're kind of showing it. Yeah, it looks a little weird. So see how the rough kind of cuts off there? They made that an OIB area, which is like an artificial out of bounds. So if you went too far right, you'd be officially out of bounds. It looks like it's a little more generous in this game than real life. And granted, I don't know when they determined that. Like, I think they have most of the information, like the course, but obviously there's probably like some elements that they don't have. Ooh, I thought we were heading towards it. I think we're okay. Yeah, so almost carried 300. It rolled. Look at that. 355. Wow. Yeah, you're going to have a lot of that today. And you see that in the St. Andrews in this game. Yeah, so I'm technically hitting out of bounds onto the screen. Oh, it's a par 5. That said, they did capture this well. That's how it looks in the real life. The grandstand and everything, you got the enclosed. They always seem to do that a couple holes, or this one hole like the ending. They always seem to do a great job in closing and giving this true big stadium feel for the final. Or like St. Andrews, they have a massive grandstand. It's actually off hole 1, but overlooks both hole 9 and 18 because they literally are like right. They're on top of each other almost, like left to right. Imagine I went too far into that bunker. Ooh. So, but yeah, that's Royal Liverpool. So again, I want to change it up. I didn't feel like just like trying to dig into every hole because it's more just kind of enjoying it, but kind of talk about the Open and the history in this course a little bit. Just kind of like the Open Championship. But yeah, we're now in course the new season for EA Sports. It's the Open. I assume their next season will be the FedEx Cup playoffs. I assume they'll do it the week of the BMW. Maybe they'll do it the week before because the BMW is the second out of 3 events. Sadly, this is the last major this year. We had the Masters and the PGA, US Open, now the Open. It used to be the PGA was the last one after this. So I kind of miss that because it felt like it just sounds to be the Open's the last one. And yeah, we still got a few more decent tournaments left with the PGA Tour, but to me it's like it feels like really the peak of golf season's well past us, and it's like I miss like the PGA Championship, and then we go into September. So I get the playoffs in September, and yeah, I had to compete against football. But it was a nice alternative watching. It was just like a good way. It's like summer's ending, the golf season. Now it's like the golf season ends when like before Labor Day, or actually it ends on Labor Day weekend. So it's like it's ending in the summer, but to me golf is true like spring through fall, at least in the northern hemisphere. So, but anyway, real quick, I love doing this. I know when I discovered this. See, I love this. You can just take another quick look at the course. Yeah. But yeah, see, it's pretty narrow. Like, it's definitely a lot more narrow. And I'll show you St. Andrews here in a minute. The compare and contrast. Yeah, but no, I like this. I really like this course. It was fun. Like, granted, good round make any course fun, but I can definitely see the challenges. And we played it on, basic weather and elements. But man, if it plays like it might be really hard, especially on Thursday with the wind and stuff. Yeah, I can see why this one's a little controversial. The bunkers and stuff, and it's very, very different. It's something you see more like in the U.S. than you do over there. Yeah, because everything else is like these pop bunkers. And you got some gorse there on the side, but yeah, it's like it's going to hammer your accuracy. If you're offline a bit, I mean, you're going to get really punished here. I feel like this one's a little more forgiving. Now that's rough, but like it's not the worst rough. Yeah, see like this one. That's a cool design. Like you just that's just it's so wacky. That's one thing you see that it's wacky. They were built like 100 plus years ago. It was just converting sandy land to a course, and they've updated and made it more modernized elements here and there over the years. But they're like it's about like playing these bumps and mounds and really playing with the elements. It's just you and the elements and wide open space. I mean, it's just I love it. That's what we'll do as I say. Don't worry, we're not. We're just gonna look at course preview. Yeah, so this is compared to St. Andrews. You see, look at that. They cut it off here, but well, actually, hold on. Yeah, so that's 18. This is hole 1. See, it's kind of, you can tell they're on the same building, so they're same, but it's like, see, it's super wide open, and not every hole. Like that one's a little more narrow, but it's like this one. It looks like that, but that's pretty all wide open until you get close to the green. They got massive greens there. Like some of these share. Like I think that we kind of tell. I think that green's a double green that shares another hole. Again here, once you get past that rough area, it's super wide open. Yeah, wide open. That's a par. That's a par 4. There's a 3. Yeah, see, like next to a green, you hit in there. So it's like, yeah, it's just I love it. It's so wonky, and like all those bumps and mounds and crazy stuff. Yeah, there's some holes that does really narrow up, but it's very different. You can tell from like Liverpool, it's very defined fairway and rough. Here, it's kind of all over the place. So, but it's kind of a shorter course. It's only like it's under 7,000 yards, with Liverpool will be over 7,000. So yeah, a lot of golfers just kind of really crushing it near towards a lot of greens, wedge shots on. It's kind of a shame, like the modern technology is really taking that course out of play in some places, but St. Andrews, I mean, but still, to me, it's still one of the greatest courses ever. It's interesting. You see a lot of golfers like Tiger Woods and stuff. This St. Andrews is one of their all-time favorite courses, and I think the reason that's why I want to play it once eventually. But I think the reason is just the history, what it means to the game, how it really is the beginning of golf started here, and also just it's so different than what you experience in general. Like if I went there, it's like I don't ever get to really experience a course like this wide open stuff. Obviously, if I live in Scotland, it's a different thing. But you think about most golfers around the world, they go on parkland courses. They don't get to grow up on this stuff. So, yeah, I know I've talked a lot. Hopefully, you guys enjoy my rambling. But yeah, you say I probably will pick the Masters first since it is the first of the year. It's such a beautiful course and it's got so much rich history. But then I probably put the Open right behind as ranking my majors. The U.S. Open is great. The U.S. Open is 50-50. Some years they've done a terrible job with the course conditions and the setup. This year I have to put on the weaker side. I can tell what LA Country Club's strengths are when I did play it in this game just to see it. But it was it fell flat in certain areas. Did not deliver like I was expected for the U.S. Open. The atmosphere sucked. But then like a Brookline, I like Brookline a lot. You know, that's a very classic, old school course. You know, from the early 20th century in the U.S. You know, very narrow, crazy, different elevation changes, tight greens with fescue and tight bunkers. So that was really well done. But then like this year, I think Oak Hill, I think the PGA Championship was a much better setup than the U.S. Open. So it's kind of like flip flop. I probably put the U.S. Open above the PGA Championship because there's a lot more history there. You know, in terms of like amateurs and so forth. But honestly, it's probably Augusta, and then I'll probably pick the Open right after that. Some years I may flip flop because some years someone runs away with Augusta, but it feels like that almost not every year, but more often than not, there's a lot more drama, some comebacks, people falling apart, tight rounds. And then also with the Open as well, like the Open's had some really good finishes the last few years. You had stints, you had Phil Mickelson losing out to Henrik Stenson. Is it Stenson? Henrik Stenson or Stenson? Okay, I was thinking Stinkson. That didn't seem right. Henrik Stenson. Yeah, they had a duel. That was one of the most. That was just awesome. That was like 5 hours of pure joy, back and forth golf until like towards the end when Stenson pulled away. Last year Cam Smith came back and Rory. He didn't really collapse. He didn't make any ground. He was just like parring, gave up a bogey, and you saw Cam Smith charge and overtake him. Like it just there's so many. It's interesting. It seems like that the Open really creates a lot of drama. I don't know. It's just luck, maybe because it's wide open, where it's just certain days, the weather or wind, or it's just a little stuff. The better rolls or bounces. It just seems like it creates a lot more drama. U.S. Open's had some great drama over the years as well in the PGA Championship, but it just seemed like with link style golf, it creates a lot more. It's a very unpredictable what's going to happen. That's what makes it awesome, and why I do love the Open. It's on top of that, it's the oldest major, so much history. Anyway, hope you guys enjoy that. Hopefully, I got yourselves excited for the Open. I have a couple minutes left. I'll say this: I suck at picking winners, so I don't know if I pick. Here's what I say: I don't think Rory's going to win it this week. It's rare to see someone win the Scottish and then win the Open. I think he'll be in contention. I think he'll be in the hunt again, like the U.S. Open. But it really just comes down to sinking those putts. I think Cam Smith will be in the hunt again. I think his putter's really good. I think Scotty Scheffler will falter with his putting again, and that he'll do well enough to stay in it, but I think he will not make the ground he needs. But that said, when I think about Scotty, Cam Smith, and Rory, I think they should be in the top 10 or top 20 at the worst. I think there'll be some surprises. There'll probably be an older golfer. Actually, I think he's in it. No, maybe not. Anyway, so, but yeah, if I had to pick a straight winner, I'm gonna take a long shot. I think Ricky Fowler will have a chance to win. If I picked a winner, if I bet money, I would take a chance on Ricky, especially against some decent odds. Again, I don't think he will. It's just if I had to pick a name out of the hat, it'd be him. But I think it'd be Ricky, Mitch and Rory, Cam Smith, and Scott would be in the hunt. I think John Rahm would do okay. I know the Open's going to be a lot due to the Seve's history, but he's kind of fallen off. Well, fallen off is a loose term. He hasn't been as crazy as he was in the spring when he's really hot. He's cooled off a bit. But yeah, golf's wide open. I think Brooks Koepka will be in the hunt as well. He's had some good times in the Open. I don't know about Bryson. I think he's done well over there, but this course is going to really focus on accuracy, so it'll be very interesting. So, but anyway, I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm really excited. A couple of days I'll be watching golf for 12 hours about each day from Thursday through Sunday. So, anyway, thank you for watching and take care, everyone.